Hello and welcome to this week's episode of How to Make Cider. This is a follow-on from the last two, which was the picking and the juicing. This stuff here, you saw me making yesterday, it's travelled from Mum's down to here, or over to here, a mile, and now it's ready for the next stage, and this is really simple. This is a specialist container for doing cider, wine, beer, but don't have to have one of these. I'll cover that a little bit more in a short while. Oh wow, this is heavy. Whoa! Now all I'm doing here is straining off any little bits that, when I was pressing the juice, got mixed up with the actual juice itself. So it's going through a muslin cloth before it goes in the bottle. It's not critical. It's just something that I actually want to do. I think it's probably good because it only takes up space within the cider. And what you find after a little while, just move that aside. That's not very good. Just move that aside. Keep it baggy in there because it holds more juice that way. Cider, any solids in there will be more profound in the bottom, so we'll get the bottom a little easier as you go on. So you might just stop a little bit. Alternatively, you can use these glass demijohns. Brilliant because they can be used over and over again. A little bit more expensive to buy straight off, but the glass, so they can be recleaned and they last forever as long as you don't drop them. Important to be sanitised, but new bung fits in, but it's been sanitised. New airlock sanitised. Everything's got to be sanitised, and away they go. Nothing else added. Something I don't recommend using is one of these. They're useful for the first couple of days when it's very vigorous fermentation, but after that there's always too much of a headspace on top of them. And remember I was saying about air is the enemy? Well, it certainly is. You can use these if you want to, but I would rack them off into a proper container as early as you possibly can. Now this one here was made up yesterday of the 4 different apple types. The difference in this one, and I'm going to anger a lot of my friends here because a lot of good cider makers believe in wild fermentation is it. However, I've had good success with one particular yeast. So in here this will ferment away easily. So we add Candon tablets to not kill the yeast, to knock back the yeast, that natural yeast in here. The idea is that you knock it back so that when you introduce the commercial yeast, it's got a chance to establish before the wild yeasts get going. The one yeast that I feel competes with the others, and that is Bulldog yeast, cider yeast. I've had a bit of success with it so far, so I'll give it a try. Trouble is, it pushes you along the chemical process. See, the other one that I've just done is all organic, completely natural, nothing else. Whereas you've got to add Candon tablets, yeast, and a little bit of yeast nutrient as well to help the commercial cider. Nothing else, no other mixtures apart from that. But it can no longer be termed as organic, of course. Your choice, your cider. It's what I've done with this one, and I want to see how it turns out. I haven't always had a lot of success with the varieties that I've put in this one, because these are the windfalls plus House de Natural and a couple other smaller apples as well. Let's see how this turns out. The proof will be in the drinking. So this is as simple as sprinkling on top, giving now then, this is yeast nutrient. It's supposed to be 1 teaspoon per gallon. I don't want that much yeast nutrient because it encourages too much of a vigorous fermentation. Need a little bit perhaps, but not more than that. Good stir with a sanitized spoon, of course. Spoon? Ladle? Oh goody, it's raining again. Love the English weather. So when you start, you need this much headspace at the top. You want to allow the fermentation to foam up a little bit without boiling over. Boiling over? Without coming over the top. This headspace is quite necessary, so don't fill it up to the top. It'll produce CO2. CO2 is heavier than air, so all the air will be pushed out of the chambers. And as long as you don't move them around, which is particularly important with the plastic ones, then it'll always have a blanket of CO2 on it. So whilst it's fermenting vigorously, this wants to stay with this much headspace. When the fermentation dies down, you then want to rack it off this one into a clean demi jar and let it mellow. It also needs to be up near the top, so the minimum airspace, because obviously you've destroyed that CO2 blanket. You could do it before it's finished fermenting, so that the small amount of fermentation pushes out what's left of the air in there, so that would be a good thing. But that's roughly, this will be finished in about a month's time, so get it off the lees into that one in 1 or 2 months time. It's no hurry. Keep it somewhere cool, not cold. Slower fermentation in the cold months is a good thing. This is perry, which takes a lot longer. So cider will be finished its vigorous fermentation, like I said, and you put it in there and it'll very slowly ferment. The old adage goes, when you hear the first cuckoo in spring, that's the time where you can bottle and drink this. I leave it longer. And today I'm going to be bottling my last 2023 mixture, which happens to be a perry. So using this product here, everything that it's going to come in contact with today has to be sanitized. From the bottles, to the tube that used to be sucking up with, to the little trap that fits on the bottom of the tube, you'll see later on, to anything that possibly can be used, including the hydrometer. All of it has to get a good soak in for 20 minutes and then it'll be fully sanitized, ready for your cider. Like this. Oh, by the way, that little trap there prevents the lees sucking up through the tube. Very gently lower it down. I like to use a little clamp to hold it in place, stop it moving around, and then right, you just suck it through. Oh, that's delicious. This is quite interesting because this has been racked once already and the reading is still at 1008, which means it's either going to stay sweet, because that'll be quite sweet, or it just hasn't finished fermenting yet. Perry is a lot slower than cider. Right, first time on Perry, I've decided to have a change of thought, and I'm hoping that it has finished. So now it's a matter of bottom. When bottoming, it's important that the end of the spout here goes right down into the liquid. Remember, the enemy is air. Always the enemy. You can control the speed it actually fills that by raising, stops. And this is the result. 9 bottles of Perry. This one's a little bit too low, so I'm going to drink that one very soon. But as you can see, it's worth always having a bucket with everything in, so you can keep everything that's sterilised away from everything. An old box, with a new container ready to take the cider. You don't want to suck it out, which is always a good thing, because nobody else wants your spit on. Alright, it's up in the tube, and gravity is your friend. So just to see, show it doing its job, there we are, it's down in there. The old box is on the floor, gradually filling up the side. Oh, that's not good. There's the juice. Always keep the end of the tube below the waterline. Again, you don't want any oxygen. Go on, get off, spider. So down to the tube, and then it's gradually filling up the sack. And then when you're finished, it's just a matter of pushing down to remove as much of the air as possible, clean from the corners. A little bit bound to come over the top. On with the end, and there she is. And that is why I say have an old box handy. And there we are, all that lovely juice. Beautiful. So thanks a lot for joining me. See you again next time.